Hey everyone, it's a Gib from THC Digest. This is going to be a short update since I don't have much to show, but I do want to talk about why. It's because basically I had to start over. Last week I talked about how two of my White Widow seeds didn't look like they were making any progress. So I waited 2 more days and I checked them out, I opened them up and they just weren't going anywhere. So I threw them away. I wish I had taken pictures to show you guys, but I wasn't thinking about it at the time. I just wanted to get new seeds going. So I got them germinated. I planted them 2 days ago, and I checked on the progress of one of the three, and the root is already growing outside of the rock wool. Now, the two White Widow that I had thrown away, um, their roots hadn't even made it out of the rock wool. So the one I see on day two, it's already doing better than the other two were. So that's a good sign. So I'm hoping next week's update, I'll be able to show you um, all three. Hopefully they've sprouted. That's what I'm hoping for, but we'll see. So a couple of the reasons I think my plants died, I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes I made, or I want to at least share what insights I might have made uh, from what happened. Now the first thing is what I noticed is that on the left side where my White Widow seeds were, they were dead, and then on the right side of my system, my plants were doing well. Also, when I started growing, I talked about wanting to keep the heat up, and I had actually put my space heater on the right side. So I think what a big part of it was, um, the space heater was heating up the right side. The seeds were getting a little more heat, and so they were able to survive. Whereas the ones on the left, they were sort of left in the cold, and they might have died. So that might be one reason. Um, and to change that or to fix that, instead of, because I had kept my light off in the first couple of days of growing, because it's not really necessary since your plants are, getting any light exposure anyways. But I decided to keep it on this time around the whole time because the light actually provides a significant amount of heat. So now I just keep the light on. It really helps me keep a more consistent temperature in there. And I do think that makes a significant difference right now because it can get really cold at night, and it's possible that there might have been a really cold night that just killed the seeds outright. So that might have been what happened. Another thing is when I opened up the rock wool, it looked like the roots might have been. I wish I had pictures, so I'm sorry about that, but it looks like the roots were maybe a little confused. Now I think what that might be because is roots are ultimately looking for a water source, and if the whole rock wall is damp, then it's going to see that as a basically as a suitable water source. But I don't want it to see. I don't want my plants to see the rock wool as the suitable water source. Really, I want the root to work its way down the net pot and into the real water source. So instead instead of like just putting the water tubes wherever and trying to get the rock wool as wet as I can, instead we put the water tubes at the bottom of the rock wool. So just the bottom section of the rock wool is wet, and I think this helps to sort of like coax your root to go downward and not get confused and maybe go sideways. One of them was going sideways and it went into like this area of the rock wool that it was going to have a really hard time getting through. Um, and so it just sort of looked like it stopped there. And then the other one, it was growing upward instead of downward. And so it looked like it was confused too. So those are two changes that I made. Like I said, the light, I put more heat, and I put the water source down lower. And I know that I used to recommend people to dampen the rock wool before they start planting. And the idea was to make sure that your seeds get water. But I'm going to actually stop doing that because I think it might be confusing to the seed. So, and I'll show you guys now the last seed that, or the freebie that's still alive. I am pulling out the other freebie to make room for the white widow, or one of the white widows. But I left one in there, so I'm going to show you that. So here's the left side. I have two white widow here again, two new white widow, and then I have my third white widow right here. And so this is the freebie back here. And you can see it looks a little, well, it's not focusing very well. Oh, there we go. You can see it looks a little starved. So this would probably be, well, probably a couple days ago would have been the best to start giving it nutrients just a little bit. But I don't want this thing to grow, so I'm just going to starve it until it dies. And I want to see how that plays out. I just want to see how long it can go before it really dies. And that will at least give me a good idea of what sort of resiliency that the plant has in the beginning. And I think that will be at least helpful. Will be helpful for me. Hopefully it will be helpful information for you as well.